As the media and Democrats preach healing, their loudest voices are planning something else. They call it accountability, but it's actually retribution. 2 weeks ago, I described how Robert Reich got the ball rolling, suggesting that the left name and shame anyone connected to Trump. The bearded bozo exposed the sinister underbelly of the so-called tolerant left, salivating at the chance for revenge. Then there's Harry Sevugin. Don't think I got that right. A former Obama spokesman who touted the Trump Accountability Project, which vows to keep anyone Trump employed from getting work. Their motto, remember what they did. Others have since joined the vengeful mob. There's Chris Hayes jumping in, the Philly Inquirer, The Nation, the always delightful AOC, and who could forget this deranged crust nugget?
Shunning, shaming these people is a statement of moral indignation that these people are not fit for polite society. It's not only that Trump has to lose, but that all his enablers have to lose. We have to collectively, in essence, burn down the Republican Party. We have to level them, because if there are survivors, if there are people who weathered this storm, they will do it again.
She's gross. No wonder Trump voters were shy around the media's nosy pollsters. The side of peace wants to tear you to pieces. It's never been about compromise unless it's replacing compromise. I just wish they'd wear brown shirts so we'd recognize them. But this ain't new. It began years ago, before this election. Shutting down speakers, banning people from media platforms, cancel culture, the delusional wokeism that energizes the mob in the streets, in politics, and in media. People losing jobs and businesses, criminals burning buildings. So why not a witch hunt? It fits. Imagine the reverse after a Trump win. His fans vowing to create a MAGA inquisition. You can't imagine it because we're normal. We see people before we see power, and this is all about power. For us, power is just a controlled substance. But for the left, once they get a whiff, they freebase the whole stash. Then in their feverish high, they get the munchies. Sorry, you're the meal. So, Jesse, if I'm not on a list, or if you're not on a list, I thought you and I are on a list, I better be above you on the list.
And you deserve to be above me on that list. You know what would, I think, get rid of this cycle of revenge politics?
What?
Alcohol. It wasn't too long ago where congressmen used to go after each other, then they'd go out drinking and doing God knows what till the sun comes up. And they got to know each other, and they bonded. And that was when Democrats used to think Republicans weren't evil, they were just greedy.
Yeah.
Let's return to you guys just thinking we're greedy. I think AOC and this Washington Post woman should go to the Hay Adams after, leaving Capitol Hill. Maybe Pompeo should come over with Gates and Sarah Sanders, and they should just knock back drinks till the past midnight.
It does help.
And then they'd get to know each other. They were actual people. Like when Juan and I went out till 3 a.m. to the Black Eyed Peas concert. Juan doesn't want to cancel me now and put me on the list because we bonded. We bonded that night, and we'll never forget it.
It's true.
I'm just more disgusted that you went to a Black Eyed Peas concert. That
fun.
music is hideous. So, Juan, you have, on one side, you have your leaders saying it's time for healing, but then you have this undercurrent of people saying, not so fast, Buster.
Wait a second. You're talking about people before power, and as I understand it today, or was it yesterday, the president fires the defense secretary, right?
That's not canceling.
He goes after, wait, that's not canceling. Okay, and then he goes after the person who does our national climate change assessment, right? Oh, it just gets rid of, so I guess that's about power, wouldn't you say?
No,
when he should be fighting.
You're not making any sense.
He should be fighting the virus. He should be doing things that are about constructive efforts to help America. And he's involved with people, and you say, oh no, Democrats put power before. I think I see here power plays all the time.
You missed my point.
Well, I take your point.
I
take your point because you know what? If people, even here on this show, when we make mistakes, people call us on it. When we tell lies, people call us on it. If we say outrageous, people. So why is it that you say, oh, it's terrible that people now want to say that people who were involved with enabling Trump should be held accountable? It seems to me there should be consequences for bad behavior.
So there should be consequences for anybody that supports Trump.
What kind of consequences?
What kind of consequences?
The education
If
gap?
a corporation, if I'm running a corporation, I say, you know what? I think this person did something that damages our democracy, our sense of
I don't think
purpose
we
as
wanna go down
American
that road.
people.
So
Because
if-
I love America.
So you wouldn't hire anybody that worked
No.
for Donald Trump?
No, I don't know how
They're
I feel about it.
unhireable.
Depends on who it is. I don't know.
All right, well.
Holy crap.
That's a weird
You
standard.
have gone to the devil, Juan.
Oh, there we
I
go.
mean, no, what you just said
Yeah.
is that people can be punished for having a different opinion than you
No,
are.
I did
That's
not
even low
say
for
that.
you.
Are you kidding? I live here with a different opinion. What
All
are
right.
you talking about?
Katie?
Well, I would say that the Hey Adams is far too classy an establishment for Jennifer Rubin. So, and I like all these people who are, getting put on the list, and they're like, "Bring it on! I don't care about your stupid list." I mean, the reason why there are more Trump voters this time around is exactly because of this type
Exactly.
of bullying. People I talk to who maybe were not political, or people who have changed from being more liberal to conservative, talk about this exact issue, how they get bullied and witch hunted into not being able to be employed simply because they disagree with the status quo mainstream media narrative about how they are supposed to think. And in America, we are free thinking. That's what we pride ourselves on. And it is anti-American to make lists of people to ruin their lives just because they worked for someone that you disagree with.
No, I'm not going to compare them to Hitler or Nazis because I don't do that, but they are kind of like Nazis. Dana. This is a dangerous trend, though. I mean, this is why you have shy voters. The amount of shy voters is only going to grow.
But when Katie was saying in terms of this actually move voters, a friend of mine worked for several months with suburban people, not just women, mix of men and women. They talked to them every week. They talked about the issues. And when cancel culture was big in the news, that was like the #1 motivating factor for them to not vote for Democrats. It didn't mean that they necessarily loved voting for Trump, but they were definitely not going to support the Democrats. And again, just like this guy, Jon Ossoff, the Democrat in Georgia, he said he did not want Trump supporters to ever be able to show their faces again.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
How are you going to heal when you got language like
Also,
that?
Trump supporters are way better looking than Biden supporters. If anybody's not going to show their face, it should be Biden supporters.
Wait a minute. I thought you said all these Hollywood types were Democrats.
Yeah, and they're all hideous.
Oh, I see.
It's all the makeup. I should know. I wear loads of it.